Hello and welcome to the CCC News podcast. I'm Robin and I'm here with Doreen, award-winning author, speaker and psychologist in technology. And we're really grateful to have you here. Welcome.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you, Robin.
Oh, it's wonderful. I just listened to you talk, so we're going to have to kind of forget what I've just heard and just kind of start back at the beginning. But tell me about what we were doing this morning and tell me about that.
I was really honored to be the keynote speaker for the first Child Wellness Summit. And we were talking about the impact of technology, in particular on children between the ages of 0 and 5 years old, and helping these amazing caregivers that are in your neck of the woods think about how they can help parents kind of decrease the kind of technologies that can impair development and increase kind of fiery, embodied living opportunities for kids.
Yeah, the technology piece is definitely something I feel like my generation and the generations around me are we're the test pilot for this technology age, right? You know, I grew up and I was 14. I first got like texting. I had a Nokia 3310 and a 3330 after that. And it was 10 cents a text, you know, and I would text my friends on my little predictive keypad to the point where I could do it without looking at it, right?
Yeah.
And so we're all kind of muddling through this technology, and we see parents and children kind of depending on screens for attention and for distraction.
Yes.
Tell me about how that works.
Yes. The thing that I think I'm wanting to most talk about is the fact that we have bought the lie that our screen use is somehow soothing or regulating to us, that when we're exhausted after a long day, we go game for hours or stream videos for hours, or we give our children devices for them to do that so we can rest. And I understand parenting is hard. However, in reality, those activities do not soothe us. They do not give us the kind of brain power to become emotionally regulated. They just distract us. So it's a little bit like smoking. If you smoke a lot, you become a really good smoker. And if you distract yourself from your emotions a lot, you get to be a really good distractor. And then your emotions end up sort of running the show because you haven't really processed them, been with them, sat with them, let them be. And we're really losing that ability because we are so attached.
Yeah, the coping mechanisms, right? You know, I have plenty of coping mechanisms like my peers. And recently I've kind of tried to pull the phone away from one of my coping mechanisms and replace it with some other things. And it's profound. The impact on my mental health, my relationships, my relationship to self has changed enormously in terms of how I interact with technology. You know, I'm like everyone else. I see gorgeous girls on there and I get anxious and I just feel like I will never be that pretty or I'll never have that much fun, you know.
Yes.
And then I make videos, and so I'm constantly reminded that these are tiny clips in time.
That's right.
They're tiny, often slowed down.
That's
you
right.
know, it's just like could be 2 seconds in time and we're perceiving it as that person's whole existence.
That's right. And it's so curated and filtered and yes, we know that actual exposure to social media for even as short as 30 minutes a day can increase anxiety, depression, and kind of body dysmorphia in a way that is really profoundly unhealthy.
Yeah, hugely. And here we are testing this technology out for these billionaires every day, right?
Every day. Yes, I love reminding people that these platforms were not created by mental health experts.
Yeah.
Instead, they are part of a capitalistic world which exists to create profit for them.
Yeah. They're designed to take our attention and sell it, right? To steal it from us and to sell it to anybody.
That's right.
Without any kind of, any kind of process of, oh, these people are good for humanity. These people are bad for humanity. No.
Right.
We'll take the money. Thank you. Right.
And they really are built to create dependence. And so not only are they built to keep us attached to them, but by us being attached to them, we lose other capabilities. So for instance, one of the things I'm most interested in right now is boredom. We no longer experience boredom. You know, if we're at a red light, we grab our phone, or if we're waiting for our coffee, we look at our phone. And we lose this natural opportunity instead to resist all of that kind of influence and being part of a capitalist system by giving in to looking at the phone. And so if we could just do what the Dutch call niksen, which is spelled Niksen, which means roughly to do nothing deliciously.
Okay.
If we could just grab a few moments to do what you're doing, like detach that coping mechanism of our phone and instead embrace the moment, be present in a moment, learn to be awkward, learn to be bored, we could take back both some of our emotional and mental health and also our own kind of the way we do or don't participate in a system that is not working.
Right. That's fascinating. Let's take a quick break, and when we get back, I want to talk about how the impact on children and the youngest members of our community.
Hey, Robin, did you ever try to drive a car with 3 tires?
You know, I have tried that a few times. I tried get up on 2 wheels, but you need a really good ramp and definitely a helmet so you don't bang your head.
Well, it's a good thing that Columbia Gorge Toyota are having a buy 3 tires, get 1 free sale right now.
That would get my car right. I like that. My dipstick's also really black. I have gone goth before, but this is taking heavy metal to another level.
Oh, man, right? Well, Toyota's also offering $16 off an oil change. That bright yellow conventional or synthetic oil is just the thing to make your motor happy.
Nice.
And here's something to keep you headed straight.
Is it a ruler?
No, but good idea, Robin. Actually, Toyota offers a free alignment check, and they'll even make sure your tires are in good rotation.
Tom, you know I just can't do without my car on some days, and it is a Facebook Marketplace purchase, so it's a little tricky. Will I be left waddling up and down the sidewalk in my tennies?
No way! Columbia Gorge Toyota has a 1-day complimentary rental car service on repairs that total over $500.
Whoa, that's free ride. I love that. Is that from our friends at Columbia Gorge Toyota, Rachel and Aaron Carter?
You bet, making your life easier and your car safer with quality repairs and service.
8 a.m. till 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday, 1900 West 6th Street, The Dalles. And we're back. So we can talk about early learning and how this technology piece interacts with kids, certainly young children. And it sounds like you've done a lot of work in this area.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that work and tell us what it shows.
Yeah. So we know that the kind of digitization of toys has an impact on kids. Fisher-Price has a line called the Activity Line where the teethers have a space for your cell phone or your smartphone and they vibrate. And we know that a preponderance of young children, even as young as 2 years old, if you give them any small rectangular object, the first thing they will do is swipe their finger across it. They are watching us. So they're learning that about their technology from watching us and our technology dependence, and we are trending it down. And one of the things we see happening even in learning and educational software is the gamification of those things, which is sort of like standardized testing at all the times. It isn't encouraging creative thought. It's encouraging cause and effect, right? Mm-hmm. We also know this year there's a longitudinal study that came out that tells us that 40% of children who are 2 and under own their own tablet, and 58% of children under the age of 8 own their own tablet.
Wow.
And this is really, really troubling because what that means is that we are kind of trending down the fact that the most fun and the most wild experiences are the digital ones, rather than kind of creating a comfort with discomfort and boredom and being kind of resourceful in and of ourselves. You know, if we're bored, we learn to use our own body. We sing a song, we whistle, we go for a walk, we skip. And when we do this in young children, it actually wires the brain. And a lot of our tech use and the way in which the digital content is delivered to a child actually misses the prefrontal cortex, which is the region of the brain that's responsible for attuned communication, self-control, the ability to stop a behavior when it isn't working, the ability to be flexible. And these are skills that kids really, really need to succeed and to feel confident and to soar as their own people. It also creates exposure to things like curated and filtered pictures of bodies that children grow up comparing themselves to, and we see huge issues and a trending down in things like eating disorders for all genders and for all children, even younger ages, just because of the onslaught of images that aren't actual authentic images.
Yeah. We see that in, when we saw the congressional hearings on social media, we saw that the testimony was given and it absolutely aligns, rang bells, because it's exactly what's happened to me online, which is as soon as I open the thing, it's giving me eating disorder content, diet content, girls who are very, very, very what seem to be underweight. Obviously, everyone's experience is unique, but these are not healthy bodies, right? When we think about a body that, especially a body that's engaging in reproduction cycles and all those kinds of things, like the body needs resources for that, right?
The other thing that I think we don't maybe think as consciously about is that, we're all being fed content by our algorithms, and children are curious, right? And so the younger they have access to devices, especially if they aren't using those within the proximity of the grown people in their lives, or they're going to search for all kinds of stuff, right? And that's normal and that's natural. The tricky thing is if you've got a young person who is curious about losing weight in unhealthy ways and looks for eating disorder, kinds of sites or diet sites, or even self-harm, or this happens a lot with suicidality, that stuff continues to be fed to them, even if they are working hard to get to a healthier place. And oftentimes they can't, or they don't feel like they can tell the grown people in their lives what they're experiencing in those spaces, whether it be something like that or bullying, because they know or they believe the first reaction of the grown person is going to be to take the phone away or to shame them or to punish them. And so I really want to help the grown people in the lives of children think about it's a really tricky world that these folks are growing up in. And it's up to us to normalize that we're going to find content that doesn't help us. And it's up to us to talk with them about how to manage that and how to even kind of help flush some algorithms if need be.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Oh my gosh. It also reminds me of, I work with the school board here and in certain kind of secondary and tertiary educational settings, and the after COVID response to kids was so hard for them, and it was so hard for the teachers and the parents to see that. And when I hear you say that, I hear the the issues with self-regulation, the issues with transitioning between things, the issues with being around people and instructions and like super basic things you'd see in first graders, second graders, kindergartens, and instead we got kind of a very kind of chaotic scenario for a couple of years, and it was pretty hard to deal with that with discipline, right? The kind of existing tools for exerting discipline on kids weren't working, and they were making it worse, and so there was this whole change in how we approach this and how we deal with this in an educational setting, which made additional stress for the educators and additional stress for the teachers. And what I'm noticing now, and our readers all can read a column I just wrote in our piece, which was that the change is kind of, we're at the end of that change cycle, and so we're just now 2025, 5 years after COVID, just seeing the kind of this seems like there's more control of this scenario that's very difficult, right? There's a little bit more support for those educators there, just a little bit, and there's a little bit more understanding of that support from the parents and things.
Right.
And so much so on the phone front, going back to the technology, they recently banned phones in the middle school, right? And there was this whole debate about parents won't be able to get in touch with their kids in the day, and what about pickup and all this stuff. And it was a very, very deep conversation. And, here we are, maybe a few months after that was enacted, and actually the reviews are raving. Everybody's like, this is the best thing that ever happened to school.
This is true in European countries who have done this before us. And I'm actually currently working with the Oregon legislature on a House bill that would ban cell phones from bell to bell for middle school and high schools in the state. And it does, the students, I think we have to approach it with a lot of empathy and skill building and tool offering to the students and teachers. But I do find that students do love it once they're used to it.
Yeah, it takes a minute.
Yeah.
So here we are at the end. If we're going to leave our audience with something, what would you like to leave them?
I would love to leave your audience with the inspiration and challenge to try for 10 minutes today to do absolutely nothing. If you are courageous enough, turn your phone all the way off. We hardly ever do that anymore. And really let yourself just be present to where you are. Notice what you see. If an anxious thought comes through your mind, let it float away like a boat. It will come back if it's important. But see if you can't just enjoy 10 minutes of feeling the earth under your feet, seeing the sky over your head. And remember remembering that you are a human who needs love and care, oxygen and water, and not just your phone.
Challenge accepted. I'm going to switch my phone off. I'm going to spend 10 minutes and I'm going to do nothing.
I love it.
Just going to do nothing.
I hope you enjoy every second.
And I'm going to like switch my brain off. Every time something pops into my brain, I'm like, no, quiet. It's good. I'm here doing nothing, you know?
It's very good.
Really turn it into mindfulness. Thank you so much for coming, Doreen.
Thank you,
We really
Robin.
appreciate you.
Thank you for the modeling that you're doing of being able to be still and mindful. And thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. We'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you.
Hey, Josh, did you know that we are funded by our readers in large part?
I did know that, but please tell me more.
Yeah, it's our local readers here that make it possible for us to go out and gather news on local businesses and important issues in our community. And so we need people to support local news. Did you know you can make a difference in our community's economy and culture by supporting local journalism? I bet you did. But maybe you out there don't. And so you should visit our Support Us page at CCCNews.com to subscribe to a monthly donation to keep news local and start making a difference in our community today. Again, that's CCCNews.com.
And remember, CCC News is available for everyone and funded by readers.